Thank you so much, Kristen. It's my absolute pleasure to be here with you all. Wish it could be in person, but hey, we're still slogging through that pandemic. So we'll hope to see each other in 2020 for sure. But we've got a great program lined up for you today. Kristen and her team at Mizzou have done such a wonderful job putting together the Institute for this year. And so I'm really happy to be here with all of you. I'm going to share my screen and talk to you a little bit about what the World Food Prize is. I hope you know that this is an event that's hosted in part by the World Food Prize in partnership with the University of Missouri. We've been great partners with them for many years, but I want to talk to you a little bit about what the World Food Prize is, and also a little bit about how you see yourself and how you situate yourself as young people in the idea of fighting for food security at a global level. So let's get going. So I don't know, I'm gonna ask you if you know who this gentleman is. He's a guy who said, "Food is the moral right of all who are born into this world." One of my favorite quotes of all time. So who thinks they know who this is? You can unmute yourself and say his name if you think you know.
Is it Norman Borlaug?
Ding, 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 ding. Yes, Norman Borlaug. So Norman Borlaug is an incredible agronomist, and he is actually the founder of the World Food Prize. So Dr. Borlaug worked for years doing incredible work in the field all around the world. He's known as the father of the Green Revolution. So the specific seeds and crops that he created helped feed millions and billions of people around the world, and specifically the Green Revolution started in India. So his work there, for his work in agriculture, he was recognized as the winner of the 1970 Nobel Peace Prize for saving more lives than any man who had ever lived. So his achievement in agriculture and food security actually was recognized as a humanitarian award. So it's incredible what work we can do in this field that might seem science heavy, or might seem like it's focused on being in the field, that can really make such an incredible impact on people's lives and their livelihoods. So Dr. Borlaug won the Nobel Peace Prize. He took the money that he won as a laureate there and founded the World Food Prize. So the World Food Prize is an award that's given annually. Our organization gives a $250,000 prize to an individual or individuals recognizing breakthrough achievements in improving quality, quantity, or access to food in the world. So the prize has gone to everyone from policymakers to scientists to people who work in the United Nations, people who work in ranching, people who do just good humanitarian work in the world. So if you are working on anything as it relates to food security and agriculture, you could be someone who could win the World Food Prize. So the World Food Prize in and of itself is one component of our work as the World Food Prize Foundation. We also host big public events like the Borlaug Dialogue, which is an international symposium where we bring together stakeholders from all around the world to Des Moines, Iowa, of all places, and they come to talk about the most important things that we need to solve, or the biggest challenges that we face, or the biggest opportunities that we have to take advantage of in improving food security around the world. And obviously, we also have youth programs. So that's where we come in here. This will be one of 27, I believe, youth institutes that we host this year that are based in the United States and around the world. We have the majority of our programs are in the United States, but we work with young students like yourselves in the Netherlands, in Honduras, and for the first time ever in Sweden. We actually are having our first ever Swedish Youth Institute this year. So, and that's not to mention all of the different students who participate in our programs that are based around the world. So you're part of a truly global community of young people who care deeply about these really important issues that we face. Speaking of a global community, I want to talk to you a little bit about the United Nations. So I'm hoping by this point you know what the United Nations are. Just in case you don't, it is the preeminent international organization founded in 1945, which acts as both a forum for international cooperation and as a body of international action on peace and security, on climate change, sustainable development, human rights, disarmament, humanitarian action, gender equality, governance, food security issues, and so much more. Like anything you can imagine that the global community has an interest in, the United Nations has taken it up in some way, which is really incredible. And I bring the United Nations up because when we talk about taking international level action on these issues, the UN is such a powerful organizing body to do so. In particular, I want to draw your attention to the Sustainable Development Goals. If you have not run across these are incredibly important to our work as an international community to solve not only the issues that focus on hunger, on poverty, and all of the other aspects that relate to what we will talk about together over the next few days at the Missouri Youth Institute, but to so many different issues. At its heart are the Sustainable Development Goals. So at the heart of the work that the UN is doing, which are an urgent call by all countries, both developed and developing, working in global partnership. They recognize that ending poverty and other deprivations must go hand in hand with strategies that improve health and education, that reduce inequality, and that spur economic growth, all while tackling climate change and doing it in such a way that we make sure that these things can endure for future generations moving forward. So I want to share with you a short video clip that's really relevant to all of our work together for the next 2 days and into the future. The United Nations Food System Summit will take place this year in September. And this particular gathering is kind of a new one-time meeting that we hope will continue into many different meetings throughout the years. But it's really the first time that the global community is coming together to talk specifically about all of these different issues and how they work together within a system. And that's really important because as young people, you have such a huge role to play in raising your voices to set that agenda for what folks are talking about. So I want to turn it over to this video, and in particular, Agnes Kalibata, who's the special envoy to the UN Food System Summit. Let me make sure that I've got my volume ready to go for everybody. Okay. Here we go.
Food is more than just what we eat. The ways in which we produce, consume food touches every aspect of life on this planet. It is the foundation of our cultures, our economies, and our relationship with the natural world, and has the power to bring us together as families, communities, and nations.
Families and children are on the brink of famine.
But today's food systems are fragile and unequal. When they fail, there are ripple effects around the world, and the pandemic has impacted the most vulnerable among us. But we know what we need to do to get back on track. We have an opportunity to build back stronger than ever. Transforming our food systems is possible and necessary. And we can set a course to make real change for the benefit of all people by bringing together key players from around the world and giving voice to citizens in every country. Because a strong food system means
no matter your race, no matter your class, no matter where you live,
women and men have equal opportunities to produce and access nutritious food,
which promotes human health at every step
without degrading land and water resources.
Significa una agricultura familiar.
Provide us, the community, with stability
all year round, every month, every day of the week,
even during a pandemic.
We are all connected, and we all have a responsibility to act. We must be bold. We must think and act differently. Transforming our food systems is the most powerful action we can take. to solve our biggest problems. Because together,
we can build a just and resilient world.
A just and resilient world
where no one is left behind.
Where no one is left behind.
Where no one is left behind.
Where no one is left behind. Join us today.
So I hope that starts to give you a sense of what we mean by food system.
Food is...
Watch it again. Here we go. In particular, I want to note the definition from the United Nations of what a sustainable food system is. It's one that delivers food and nutrition security for all in such a way that food security and nutrition for future generations are not compromised. So that means we can't just come up with a short-term solution that's going to help us today, although certainly some of those things are going to be necessary, right? If somebody's starving today, we want to make sure they get food in their mouth, because we can't say, oh, you have to wait until we fix the system. We want to make sure that there are those short-term solutions that we come up with, but overall, as we're thinking about the structure of how we make change happen, we want to ensure that it's sustainable so that generations to come aren't having to deal with these same challenges that we are. I wanted to give an example of what a food system might look like, and I can send you all a bigger a version of this so you can blow it up and really dig into the different details of it. But it's such a great visual that I really love to take a look at because it connects all of these different things together. Farming at the top, where you're really talking about biological inputs, sunlight, seed, water. How does it impact the land? How does agriculture, the methods by which we farm, impact it? Groundwater. How does that relate to our economic system? The people who sell our food, who put it in a grocery store, who prepare it for you at a restaurant. How does that impact people's social world, both in terms of how we come together as a community or our religion or what our natural culture or our national culture might say about how we engage with food? How do all of these things that are in between there, our political systems, our health systems, biological systems, how do all these things interact? So when you think about it, wow, this starts to become a little bit overwhelming, right? It's pretty complex. There's a lot of different variables that go into this. And when you think about, what happens if there's not enough sunlight, how does that impact our health system? You start to understand that all of these things are very interrelated. And I think we all can see our health system right now in particular is having a big impact on all these other things, right? We're in the middle of a pandemic. How does that shock to the system have an impact on the way that we are able to grow and get food around the world? So I bring this up to start you thinking about how all these things are interrelated with each other, and hope that you'll bring some of these ideas into your discussions, especially as you interact with our other speakers throughout the next 2 days and during your roundtables as well. Another really cool aspect of preparing for the UN Food Systems Summit is this very funny looking icon of a chicken with a cape on, but it's the idea that anyone can be a food systems hero, and that's not just adults. And honestly, please, let's get some fresh voices and your perspectives as young people into the conversation. So there are all kinds of really cool opportunities for you at un.org/food-systems-summit. We can pop that in the chat for you as well. But really signing up to be a food systems hero is a wonderful way not only to get information about what you can do in your community at a national and an international level, but it's also a wonderful way for you to be able to take action and to share your experiences and your thoughts about how we should be moving forward to solve these big challenges that we face in our food systems. The biggest thing I want you to leave with, and that I want to lead with into the next couple of days, is that your ideas are part of the global agenda. So many times we hear, I heard this when I was growing up, oh, young people are the next generation, you're gonna do it better than us, you're the next idealists who are gonna come in and change the world, without there being a feeling that you could do something as a young person, or that adults took you seriously. And I just want to impart the idea to you that you already are leaders at a global level right now, just by signing up to participate in this event, by choosing to write a paper about a topic, by choosing to think about what life is like in another part of the world. You are already able to exercise your leadership. So viewing yourself as someone who is going to not in the future go out and change the world, but can right now go into your community, log into whatever social media platform you prefer to connect with people all around the world. There are so many different ways that you can make such a huge impact. So I hope I know that you'll hear that same message from others who speak to you throughout the rest of your time at the Missouri Youth Institute this year, but I really want to make sure you hear that from me, especially. So with that, there's all kinds of ways to get in contact with us. I'm happy to share our slides. I hope you'll especially follow us via social media at The Next Norm. That's where we post a lot of our youth-specific types of activities and opportunities. I'll talk to you again tomorrow about what it means to become a Borlaug Scholar, which is what all of you will become at the end of this experience, which is really exciting.